Namaskar and welcome to another episode of What Does This Data Say? In today's episode, I am definitely not going to talk about Agniveers or the Agnipath scheme. There is a general overload about this topic in social media, on the news channel, and already enough has been said. Anyone and everyone has been commenting on this topic in the last few days. Our Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, has come out in defense of the scheme. So has Rajnath Singh ji, and so has the men in uniform as well. And then we have the usual BJP backroom boys who always create more trouble for the party than to help him. The comments made by Kailash Vijayvargiya and G. Kishan Reddy did not go down well with the party leadership. Now, what is surprising and very striking is that the Chief of Army Staff had to come out to defend this scheme. This could well be a first time in the country when an army chief comes and does the job of his political masters, whereas the politicians were supposed to defend the scheme. We see men in uniform doing that job. Coming back to the point, the issue here is, and I think many of you would have known by now, the issue is about Indian Army. It is not about Agniveers. A few years down the line, when these tens of thousands of Agniveers come out of the training, not being absorbed by the army, and maybe 10 years down the line, a few lakh, they are 25-year-old people having been trained for 4 years with about 11 to 12 lakhs in their pocket. I am sure that they are fully capable of getting a job on their own merit. They were anyway in the job seeking market and they have been given a jump start. Now, what I'm trying to bring out is that what happens to the Indian Army when these 17, 18, 19-year-olds contract staff come and join the forces? And what will be the structure of the Indian Army as these figures keep growing? And the data which I have picked out today, I'm going to show you that that is a much bigger problem. And unfortunately, today, no one is talking about it, not even the army themselves. So, watch this episode till the end because I don't think that this data has been shown to you by anyone on any other channel as on date. Now, before I start on the analytics part, just a quick reminder of one fact regarding contract workers in our country. You should be aware that the contractual workers in our public sectors today is around 5 lakhs. Now, in the last 5 years, this figure has doubled. In 2016, it was around 2,68,000. Secondly, another study shows that 43% of the staff in government sectors today works on contract or on a temporary basis. The figure in of contract workers in 2014 was around 1.23 crores, which today I am sure would have crossed 1.5 crores. Now, those of you who come from a government background would really appreciate this point. You would know what is the working conditions of contract staff and how they are treated by the other regulars in that department. These people have a much bigger uncertain future than the Agniveers because these people sometimes don't even get their salary on time and maybe they may have to skip a month's salary because of some government regulation or the other. But then today, no one is taking up their cause because probably they will not get the same political mileage. With the Agniveer program now initiated by the Defense Forces, I am now going to answer this question: what is going to happen to the Indian Army? Firstly, let's look at the defense budget. This year, the total budget sanctioned is 5,25,000 crores against 4,78,000 crores done last year, which is an increase of 9.8%. There are four components in the budget: civil defense, Then we have defense services, in which the salaries, the running expenditure, the establishment all come in this section, and that has been increased by 9.9%. Capital outlay, which is procurement of equipment, arms, ammunition, this has gone up by 12.8%. Defense pensions has gone up by 3.3%. Now, you should remember that last year the inflation was 4.89%. So, all these figures, this inflation has to be subtracted. So, the real increase is far less. And in fact, the pensions are really going down if you look at the inflation figures. Pensions as a percentage of the total budget has also gone down last year from 24% to 23. Capital has gone up by 3%, and revenue is almost stagnant at the same level. Because the increases do not keep pace with the requirements of the army, the Indian Army has been resorting to several cost cutting measures in the last few years. Now, this pension issue has been hitting the army really very badly over the last decade or so. If you look at these graphs, the left hand side is the pension graph, which you see has been increasing dramatically over the last 10 years. In 2011-12, it was around 31,000 crores, and last year it was above 1,20,000 crores. On the other hand, the capital as a percentage of the defense budget has been going down, except that now we are trying to bring it little up by 2 or 3%. So what is happening in the army is that non-productive manpower is being fed at the cost of capital, which is the weaponry and the modernization plan of the army. Now let us find out what is the sanctioned strength of our defense forces and how much of shortage is there in the three arms. Now for this I will show you two questions which were asked by member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha. Now, the first question I'm showing you here was asked by Sri Rakesh Sinha to the Minister of Defense on 6th December 2021. Among other things which he asked was, will the number of vacancies in the armed forces, Army, Air Force and Navy at both levels, Jawans and officers, and what is the efforts being made to fulfill these vacancies, and which regiments are facing the maximum shortage. The Minister of State, Sri Ajay Bhatt, has responded by giving all the figures regarding the shortage. The Indian Army is short of 7,476 officers and 97,177 men. Indian Air Force officer shortage 621, men 4850. Indian Navy officers 1265, and in the sailor category 11,166. Regarding the second part as to what efforts are being to fill up the shortage, the minister has circumvented the total issue by giving a roundabout answer. No concrete information was given. He just stated that the deficiency is spread across all arms and services of the Indian Army. On the same day, that is 6th December 2021, Shri Revati Raman Singh, Member of Parliament, has asked another question which has spilled the beans for the government. He asked, will the Minister of Defense be pleased to state whether it is a fact that no recruitment of officers and soldiers has been done in the Indian Army Armed Forces during last year? If so, whether our government plans to conduct immediate fresh recruitment, and what are the details? Now for this, the minister has given a categorical reply: no sir, selection of officers continues, but the recruitment for men has not been undertaken. So it was not a question of COVID or effort. It was a planned decision by the government not to recruit the army soldiers during the last 2 years. Probably they were anticipating the path scheme would be made available under which the recruitment would then resume. So here is the shortfall of officers and men. I have just totaled up what the minister said. The total officers today shortage is 9,362 and the soldiers shortage is 1,13,193. The total sanctioned strength of the Indian Defense Forces is over 15 lakh, and today we are short by about 1,20,000 men and officers. The bulk of the shortage is in the Indian Army. The next table which I am going to show you is about the recruitment of Agniveer and how this shortfall is going to be compensated. Now, the Indian Army or the Defense Forces have not come up with a recruitment plan document. So, all this information I have gathered from the press briefings given by Lieutenant General Puri and other senior army commanders. As per the plan, we start with recruiting 46,000 Agniveers this year and as many number next year. Then the general said that over a period of time it will increase to 1 lakh probably by 2026, and thereafter by in the next 10 years they plan to recruit 1,20,000 Agniveers every year. So over a period of 10 years, the total number of Agniveers who will be recruited by the army is 8,67,000. One fourth of the Agniveer sainiks will be regularized within the army after completion of their training. So 11,500 we start with in the year 2026, and this number will gradually increase according to how many we recruited 4 years ago. So the total number of Agniveers in a 10-year period who will get regular commission will be 1,06,750, and the remaining of course will have to exit. So the total who will exit the army during the 10-year period will be 3,20,250. Now, the last row here shows how many Agniveer sainiks will be under training in every year. So, first year we have 46,000. Second year another 46,000 get added, so it becomes 92,000. Third year you add another 60,000, and so on. This figure is calculated, and once the recruitment becomes stabilized, the under training Agniveers will be around 4,40,000 every year. So I'll just summarize the end figures once again because it is very important that you understand these figures. Over a 10-year period, the army is going to recruit 8,67,000 Agniveers, out of which 1,06,750 will be regularized. 3,20,250 will be released back into the society, and at that time there will be around 4,40,000 Agniveer trainees of varied experience from 1 year to 4 years within the army. Now I'm going to show you the gist of all my analysis, and this is one graph which tells you the entire story. I want you to look at this graph very carefully and spend some time in trying to understand it. Let me first explain what this graph is about. Here is the progression from 2022 to 2031, that is a 10-year period. The green bar is the number of regular army soldiers within the Indian Army. The red bar here indicates the number of Agniveers which are under training. They could be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or in their fourth year. The blue bar here, extension, which is smaller, is the regular recruits, which means how many Agniveers have been made regular and added to the green bar in the subsequent year. So now let's see, when does army get back to its sanctioned strength? The yellow bar here indicates the sanctioned strength of soldiers within the Indian Army, which is 12 lakh 32,976. So, point number one is, even if we do the Agniveer recruitment, it is not for the next 2 or 3 years that the army is going to get back its 12 plus lakh soldiers. Point number two is that the dependency of the Indian Army is going to increase very rapidly over the next 5 6 years, and they will become dependent on the under training Agniveers. As more and more Agniveers are inducted, the regular recruitments will be going down. So, this red curve increases in width, which finally reaches a figure of 4 lakh 40,000 in the year 2031, as against the regular recruits, which will be around 14 lakh 23,000. So, one fourth of our army will gradually be composed of Agniveer trainees ranging from 1 year to 4 years. Now, that is where the problem lies, and that is why I say that the Indian Army is going to undergo a structural change. One fourth of its men will be under a contract, which who will be under training, yet expected to perform as the regular recruits who are sitting beside them. Now, people who have dealt with contract staff in government offices very well know how the contract staff is treated by the regular staff. The contract staff have very little option but to do what is told to them, because otherwise they will lose their job. Are contract soldiers going to be effective in a war? We don't have to look very far. Just look at the Russian 17-year-old under training soldiers who were brought in to fight into Ukraine, and it was a pathetic performance. In fact, Russia lost the first round because of all these trainee contract soldiers. And the last slide is about the average age of the Indian Army. Well, yes, if you recruit 4 lakh youngsters in the age group of 18-19, the average age is bound to go down, which will come down to less than 25 in the next 10 years. I hope I have been able to give you another perspective of this whole issue. Well, I'll again meet you again next week with some more exciting data. Till then, goodbye and namaskar.